All right, what's going on, y'all? So, I'm just doing a whole bunch of different content all 2025. So, if for some reason the Depop goes crazy, then the Depop content goes crazy. But I really just kind of wanted to break down, and I'm going to make a lot more Depop videos this year. But before I get too ahead of myself, I wanted to make a video where I kind of just sit down and basically tell you guys my whole Depop history so far, or I guess how I kind of started Depop. So, going back, long story short, I've always kind of sold clothes ever since I used to be a huge sneakerhead, and before I was a sneakerhead, I just loved clothes. And I actually got introduced to thrift stores from my mom because she said, hey, so even before that, I got hand-me-downs from a guy that was in my sister's grade, and he was a lot older, but I always thought his clothes were super cool. And it's actually kind of funny. One of my favorite shirts I ever got from him was a dragon shirt, so kind of funny. I still love dragons. So I never really had that mindset of used clothes or hand-me-downs or things of that nature being weird or being gross or not being open to that, because I kind of just grew up like that, and I always thought it was just cool because I thought he was the coolest. And then so then fast forward, before, like back to school shopping or something, my mom said, hey, you ever heard of a thrift store? And I don't think I really I kind of knew what they were. I think I was 10 or 11. And she said, we could go to, Target or Walmart or whatever and get, one or two shirts, or for the same price, we could go to a thrift store and get 4 to 5 shirts. And I thought to myself, 4 to 5 shirts compared to 2 shirts? Yeah, we're definitely going. And I remember just how different it was, but okay, anyway, then so I just always had clothes, and then people always wanted to buy my clothes, but I wasn't really selling anything at the time. And then I got into shoes, and then I eventually started to sell shoes, and then I kind of got out of the shoe game a little bit, so I kind of I was obviously still into clothes, but people had still wanted, more people had, as I got older, had asked to, buy my clothes. So then I thought, okay, sure. So then I was selling my clothes, but just doing it on Snapchat. And it was kind of difficult because a lot of my clothes, were just my size. So I'm a 2X, and then my pants are usually large, sometimes extra large, just depends on lengths and stuff. So it wasn't my sizes weren't, okay, technically everyone can fit, 2X, or most people, but, people don't want to be swimming. If someone's an extra small or a small, that's going to be ginormous. It's going to be a dress on them. So I was posting, and I think it was one day, randomly, 3 people hit me up. They all swiped up on Snapchat and said, yo, I love your clothes, I love the style, but I can't fit any of it. So that day moving forward, I thought to myself, okay, you know what? When I go out and when I'm sourcing, when I get clothes for myself, I'm gonna just start buying things that I would wear regardless of the size. So as long as I think it's cool, and that's something too where, when I thought about the name Landlocked Thrift, I didn't want it to be Landlocked Vintage or Landlocked, something that was just one thing. And I also thought closet, because I love Plato's Closet. I grew up there, and then I actually worked there for a little bit, which is another, I could talk about that in another video if you guys want to know about that, that experience. But I wanted something that kind of just incorporated everything. And technically when I first, oh my gosh, I'm everywhere in this video, I apologize. When I first started, I called it Icebox, and it was Icebox_785. And the motto was, got to keep the heat in the ice, or got to keep the heat in the icebox. And icebox, like a freezer. My dad, growing up, always would call the freezer the icebox. And I kind of wanted to just have, even with Landlocked Entertainment and Landlocked, I just wanted to have a piece of, where I am from that is, in my brands, in my companies, in my businesses. So yeah, that eventually changed to Landlocked Thrift, or there might have been another name in between that, but anyway, so then I was like, okay, cool, yeah, I'm gonna start selling clothes that are different sizes. And then I was still posting on Snap, and then I didn't really know, I kind of knew Depop, I kind of knew like Poshmark, Mercari, I was familiar with Marketplace, and I was familiar with Craigslist, but that was kind of, eBay, that was kind of it. And then my homie James, the one who passed away, that is the one that does the kind of just because the one who started that, he had actually sold a few things on Depop. And that's kind of when I was thinking about what app I wanted to use to start selling, because, you know, Snapchat's only 24 hours. So then people liked the items, but people were complaining because they were saying, you know, well, where's I can't see all the product, or it goes away after 24 hours. And I thought, okay, let me think of something. And I didn't really want to make a website at the time. I wanted something that was a little bit more fluid, a little bit easier, a little bit more people coming and viewing, or a bigger audience, you know, a bigger pool to play with. So yeah, I remember I messaged him and I was like, hey, you know, how is Depop? How'd it go? And then that's kind of why I chose Depop, if I'm being completely honest, because I know there's also, is it Grailed, and yeah, the other ones I said, and I like Depop because it's red, and red's my favorite color. So kind of, maybe not the, you know, kind of like that's really why you chose Depop. Yeah. So boom, then I started doing Depop, and then fast forward a little bit more, then people wanted to see the items in person, and then I started doing in-person events, and then started doing pop-ups, and then started vending at different events, and now we're here. But back to the Depop aspect of it all, I did it, I think, my last year in college, and I was still doing Snapchat. And then I remember I was doing it, and when I moved to Colorado after I graduated, and I was doing it in Colorado. Thrift scene is crazy, super good, so much good stuff out there. And then yeah, when I moved back to Kansas, where I'm at now, still been doing it. So it's kind of crazy. I think I've been on Depop now for almost 3 years, or going on 3 years. I don't know. It feels like it's happened so fast. But that is basically kind of, I guess it wasn't long story short, that was kind of long story long, but how and why, and yeah, why I got into Depop and how I became a Depop seller. So in summer of 2024, I was working for a company doing sales. I was there for maybe 2-3 months, and I hated it. Before that, I was a mental health counselor for Boys and Girls Club. So it was a lot, you know, it wasn't necessarily paying all the bills and, you know, the benefits and stuff and everything that a job, you know, a full-time job usually comes with, but it definitely was fulfilling, and I definitely did feel like I was making a difference. And, you know, one of my biggest goals when I graduated college was to do nonprofit work for about 2 years, or go to the military. Didn't pick the military, so did nonprofit work, and then thought, you know, after 2 years, my vision had always been to do nonprofit work for 2 years, and then to get into either a career that is gonna, you know, be profitable, make a lot of money, or do my own thing. And yeah, so did that for a few months. Really didn't like it. I felt so alive. I felt so much of my soul came back to me when I had quit, and I never have looked back. I've never thought about going back. I have thought about here and there doing maybe picking up a part-time job or something, just because sometimes, you know, it's tough. But when I started doing my in-person events last year during the summer, I think my first one was in June or July, I really kind of slowed down on Depop, and because of that, my Depop sales definitely decreased. And it's hard because, you know, some of the sales that I had, or some of the events that I had, would do really, really well. Others, not so much, and some wasn't even worth it, but I didn't know until I did them. So, you know, going into this year, I don't know really how much or how many I'm gonna do, as well as also being a vendor at places, just because, you know, I have so much stuff, and it's almost sometimes not worth it to me to go to events and to make a few $100s, sometimes more, but, you know, it's been rare for me for that. So just having everything here centralized, you know, have everything in order, have systems set up and everything has been really beneficial. But one thing that is also something I have been thinking a lot about, you know, when I was in Colorado, my setup was different because I didn't have people coming over, so I didn't have racks, you know, like these. I had shelves, and then on the shelves I folded the shirts by size, you know, smalls, mediums, large, and that was just able to hold a lot more. So, you know, if the first quarter, second quarter, whatever of the year, you know, the Depop sales just go like this, I might potentially stop doing in-person events, or maybe limit them to only maybe every other month or once a quarter, or I don't know, who knows. But what I do know is that Depop has been super helpful and beneficial. I actually have another video I'm already working on where I'm breaking down how I saved over, I think, $2,000 in shipping. So that'll be probably the next video, or one of the next videos, because I also have a haul, a thrift haul that I have that I just got yesterday that I'm gonna film right now. It'll just be a different video. So yeah, appreciate y'all. That's gonna do it for this video. If you guys are interested and you guys like my stuff, again, it's not just vintage, it's kind of just an assortment of, technically it's kind of my closet, and it's really just clothes that I like. So it doesn't have to just be vintage, it can also just be streetwear, it could be jerseys, it could be random stuff, it could be it could be who knows what. But if you guys want to check it out, it'd mean a lot. It's Depop at Landlocked Thrift. Also, you can tap into the Snapchat, which is at LandlockVTG, and the Instagram at Landlocked Thrift. So everything's at Landlocked Thrift except for the Snapchat. And yeah, I think that's gonna do it. I appreciate y'all for watching as always. Peace and love. Kind of just because, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.